My name is Anthony Oakes.
And I am Patrice DeVoe. And once again, this is the Black Think Tank with Anthony and Patrice.
Pow, 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 pow!
What is the Black Think Tank? We really just wanted to create a space where we could, discuss content with Black content creators and providers and consumers of Black content. Produce our own film, on our own start on a film, put out Black content. That's what we want.
Welcome to the Black Think Tank!
We made it back. We made it Black another week. Clap it up for that. It's not an easy feat in this country.
I'm so glad that I'm Black, though. I enjoy being Black.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
I wouldn't either. I would like, like a little privilege here and there, but I just the melanin alone, it's just it's intoxicating.
Can't live without it.
I don't ever want to live without it. How are you feeling, Patrice, Queen B?
Great. I'm doing great. Every time I say that now, I want to be like, I'm feeling great. I'm
looking great. Feeling great.
But no, I'm just really excited for the week. It's a lot going on. Like, we're coming off of a very busy weekend, going into a very busy week/weekend. And I'm just loving the marathon. That's it. Just loving the marathon. How about you?
I'm good. Like you said, we have a busy week, especially coming up. We're heading to ATL to get our peaches. I feel like we're housewives of Atlanta.
Look, I'm already ready to shoot my confession.
Okay, look at you. You already got your background. Girl, you done came up without me, and I'm still in this basement apartment in D.C. Lord have mercy.
I'm a reach back.
Okay, reach back and get me, please. I like peaches, too. We can't do nothing without who?
The squad.
The squad. Hey, people.
Live from the bourgeois of the turnip seeds. Yes, they let us in the bedroom today. Turnip seeds. How y'all doing, Tracy?
How you know what we are?
Y'all remember?
I like that jacket, Haywood. It's very Santa Fe.
Thank you. This is that. It's
very Aztec, and
I got on my AMGE supporting my government workers, of which I am one. I had been newly named the vice president of the local 1831 Union at the National Gallery of Art. So we about to
Union shots with somebody.
You, Patrice, I'm trying to be where the money resides.
Hey.
I used to love my union rep when I worked for the Brown Box Company. I used to love a good union rep, honey.
Yeah. So our president is Tambra Jackson. I am her vice president. She asked me to come on in and help out. So this is what we're here to do. We're going to help reestablish faith and actually swell up our numbers and, hopefully get some discounts on rental car.
I love it. 2 Black vice presidents. 1.5. More than impossible.
Hey, it still counts. One in impossible. You'll still get that book, though. You'll still get that book. I'm a Spades fanatic. But y'all know this show. Thank you for tuning in for the Black Think Tank with Anthony and Patrice. Patrice, go on and tell them what kind of show this is.
Well, it's one that we certainly like to shout out our supporters first and foremost. So Miko, Teresa, Kevin, And everyone who's on Lauren Dawkins, Matthew, Holly is back once more and again. We're so happy to see you in here. And also, this is a very, very, very much donation-based show, which means that we need your money. So if you're able to, if you feel so inclined, if you feel blessed by the Black Think Tank, we ask that you would talk to your higher self and bless the Black Think Tank back by hitting our hashtag Black Think Tank, the Black Think Tank. It's our way that we can continue to bring you awesome content and hit you with live shows from coast to coast and all the other wonderful things that we do. So we don't misappropriate the funds here, all right? That's hashtag the Black Think Tank.
Hey, give and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall men give into our bosoms. Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
oh yeah, feel it. You better feel the spirit. Yo, we have an amazing show today. Today we are talking about Black firepower. Woo! Guns, pew, 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 pew.
I know a lot of you are wondering where am I right now on the one episode where it probably be appropriate for me to have them. But I wanted to make sure that, you know, we're just being very, I'm not going to say very serious, but it's a really important topic. And I want people to take it seriously because I take it seriously for us. I really do. So I got the little thump nearby if necessary, but we're not going to, you know.
We got a great expert today, Aaron McGahee. I know. Look at Aaron with his guy. Hey, Aaron is ready. Look.
Listen, he looks like he will do your taxes and bust a cap in that ass.
Hey, duality. There's a duality in life.
I love it.
But he is the owner and chief instructor at the Rhinox Research Group. So he's definitely going to come on later and talk about that. And also we have 3 Black Minutes, of course, where we have the hilarious Alex Starr, who's going to be coming up and taking care of that. But you know, we here at Black Think Tank love to shout out our Black businesses.
365, baby.
365. So you already know who's next.
Black business shout out. Black business shout out. Hey. Welcome to the Black Business Shout Out with Tracy Turnipseed. Support your Black businesses.
Hey. Guess who we're doing today? We're doing a woman who's become a staple in the DC community. I think she was here before she was really here. She used to be on the radio with what's the guy's name? Michael Baston. When Michael Baston was hot. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. But we're going to talk about Calabash Tea today, and it's owned by Dr. Sunyata Amin. She can be found, I believe, on Instagram at Calabash Tea. She also has her own storefront in Tacoma Park. And I was actually looking around and I saw a few Calabash Teas. And I'm just wondering if she's recently opened up a new location. But at any rate, if you'd like to order from her, you can go online. You can also go into the store. I believe they are practicing social distancing. They're known for their teas and tonics. She's a multi-award-winning wellness brand. She's a 5th-generation natural herbalist. She's a physician hailing from Jamaica, Cuba, and she also has native ancestry as well. She sells everything from Irish moss to CBD oils and tinctures. She also has some great teas. She started off, I want to say, with like 30 teas, and now I want to say she has hundreds of teas and herbs in there. I mean, if you go, her list is extensive. You have to go in and check her out. I believe if you go over to her cafe, all the cafe treats are vegetarian. From a few articles that I read, they said they're vegan, but for the most part, I'm going to say they are all plant-based, so you don't have to worry about asking if everything has egg or milk in it or dairy. So go past Calabash Tea. As soon as you get a chance, look at her. She's beautiful. And she's like, and I believe she's like 55.
What?
She's She's beautiful.
Let me go get me some Calabash tea.
Calabasas.
Okay, Calabasas. Yo, thank you, Tracy. And I've been to. It's her store on U Street.
Mm-hmm. No, her store is. She has one in
On Florida.
Park. I know she has one in Tacoma Park. I'll let y'all know if she has any other. Let me look it up and see if she has any other locations. Because I want to say I saw 4. So, but it's going to a main website.
I like how Tracy managed to infuse the Black business shout out with another segment on another hilarious show that I do on my Instagram called A Moment of Shade, because the Michael Bays thing definitely did go over nobody's head back when he was hot. Oh, shit. What the hell? Michael Bays didn't do that, Tracy. I mean, you ain't saying that won't true.
Just a little wakey.
Shots fired, I guess, on the Black firepower.
It's Black firepower.
That's how we doing it. Like, okay.
But as y'all know this is Black History Month. But you know, we celebrate Black History every Tuesday with who else? I mean, we have our own historian. Oh God, who else? Nobody.
Black history, Black history. You have to know where you're from to know where you're going. Uncle Historian Haywood.
Haywood.
You do have to know where you're from in order to know where you're going. And
Amen.
Like the proverb says, the glory of the hunt will always glorify the hunter until the lion can tell his tale.
Yes.
Today, we will remind folks of the tale of one of my favorite human beings, and that is El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, or known to most people as Malcolm X. This past Sunday, February 21st, 2021, was the 56th anniversary of his forced ascension. And we say forced ascension, or assassination, as some folks would like to say. Forced ascension, assassination of his taking from his family and this earth to ascend, but it did not take away his legacy. One of the things about Malcolm X, especially on this episode that we talk about, there's the images of Malcolm X holding a gun in the window. Very famous picture. I actually have this on the shirt and used to wear this too quite often. But then I was read more and learned more and was reminded of when Malcolm went on his pilgrimage to Hajj, his pilgrimage to Mecca. And when he went on Hajj and he came back and founded Muslim Mosque Incorporated, things changed. His philosophy changed. He saw the world diaspora, as like we talked about. So while traveling through Mecca and throughout the Middle East and Africa, it had opened his eyes to the plight of poor people and people of color throughout the world. With everyone, we all have the right to life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. And we all have the right to defend our lives, protect our liberties, and enjoy our pursuits unimpeded and free of danger. After Mecca, he changed his name to El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz and was ready to accept his position as a leader on the world stage. At the time of Malcolm X's death, during his travels, he was making political alliances in order to bring the United States on to the World Court at the United Nations and talk about the human rights element of what was going on with the civil rights movement. That was very powerful. One of the things I like to say about Malcolm X is we look at this picture here of him in the mosque in Cairo, which was shown in the movie Malcolm X. A lot of people think this is on his pilgrimage, but this is part of On the Way. His daughter, Ilyasa, recently tweeted, while her father was in Cairo in 1964, but interestingly, despite following his every move in 1958, an FBI informant called him a man of high moral character who neither smokes nor drinks. And apparently he was seldom late for an appointment. Malcolm X to this day remains an enigma. And I once heard a story about him where a woman, a white woman, said that he was like a Black Panther. Just as when he entered the room, if you didn't even see him, you knew he was there. Just everything shifted, the presence shifted. So today I'd like to just remind folks that we just did past this 56th anniversary of his ascension. And on May 19th, we can celebrate his Earth Strong. Because Malcolm X, or El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, or as his homies called him back in the day, Detroit Red,
Hey.
Yeah, man.
forever and a day. And if you have not read the autobiography of Malcolm X, I suggest that you do. When I was 13 years old, that book changed my world.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not read his speeches, you should. If you have not heard his speeches, you can YouTube them and listen. The ballot or the bullet. You have a choice in this country. Or watch One Night in Miami, which was Regina King film. I was actually in the play. All of us. Tommy Taylor was in one of the original as it was going out. I say that to say, check that out, One Night in Miami, because it humanizes this man. And so many people like to demonize and say that they were a victim of the rhetoric, but he did not speak rhetoric. He spoke truth to power, and he was not afraid of making his mistakes. So as we say, all day, every day, we give the ancestors, we give them their praise, but we also give them their thanks. We put our hands in the air and we say, Ashe,
Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe,
Ashe.
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 Remember the power of Brother Malcolm, Minister Malcolm, to some, and to his family, Father Malcolm, every day. And if you want to know one thing, just check out what Attorney Crump just put out there about the informant that was embedded with Malcolm X and ensured that his assassination went on.
Listen, these deathbed confessions get on my nerves, but listen, you're not getting in. Listen, I couldn't be a bouncer in heaven. Listen, I couldn't be a bouncer if you're not getting in.
Last minute don't count.
Yeah, the lady
who said, "Oh, you know what? They did. You know."
She admitted she lied. She admitted that she lied. She was like, "Yeah, I lied."
I hate us.
There's a man who there's a CIA. I don't know the term you want to use, but he admitted to actually saying, "I was one of the people. I was the person who poisoned Bob Marley for years." People had thought that might have been a rumor, but he said, "Yeah, I was the one who did it." Proven or not, people are saying these things on their deathbed because they don't want to take that stuff into the afterlife. So remember that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is merely transformed. And how you are remembered is how you were here on this earth. As the African proverb says, so a person, if you mention a person's name, even after they are gone, they are always here. What do we say about them, though?
Mm-hmm.
Amen, amen, amen. I just feel like we really went to church. Okay, yes. Hey, pass the offering plate. Pass the offering plate. Get these offerings.
Donation-based show.
But look, y'all, we have an amazing expert on the show. Today we're talking about Black firepower. We're talking about guns and Black people. Haywood, would you like to bring on our special guest?
I sure would. So today we have, as we're talking about Black firepower, talking about the Second Amendment rights, I would like to bring on Mr. Aaron McGahee. Aaron is the owner and operator of Rhinox Research Group. Rhinox specializes in self-defense training, weapons training, educational research, and legal protection. And he is also a blurred like myself. Please, let's bring on from Louisville, Kentucky, from Muhammad Ali hometown.
What?
Is a proprietor of not only Rhinox Research Group, but Louisville Extreme Football, and he is a veteran. Come on, brother, and talk to us.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
How you feeling, brother Aaron?
I'm doing great after all that. I'm pumped.
Thank you so much for being here.
This is a lot of fun.
Thank you for agreeing to come on our show and talk to us about what we need to know and about what we don't know, because we hate talking into a vacuum, and we love for our listeners and viewers to really, really get the truth as best we can give it to them. So today we would like to talk to you about the Second Amendment and why it is important to Black folks in particular, why we should be aware of it and of our rights to carry arms.
All right. Yeah, it's fantastic. I can dive right into that. I actually just talked to a college earlier today, and that came up. What's so important about the Second Amendment Well, generally, when you talk about like national reach, it's not that important because it's well known for a majority of the people. But when it comes to the African American community, there's still a lot of stigma around guns, and there's still a lot of hesitation around getting professional firearms training. So what I'm doing is I'm bridging the gap with a lot of proactive activity. And so what I'm finding out from my students is a lot of the people in the community want the training. They have the guns. And so that's one of the things that I'm hearing, like, oh, more guns in the black community. That's a recipe for disaster. Well, that's an easy comeback because they already have the guns, right? My job is to train them. And so what I'm learning is they have the protection, they have the guns, they have the ammo, but they don't have any professional training. They have no defense education. Why is so important for African Americans to understand the Second Amendment is because we need to understand the amount of privilege and the amount of power we have given to us underneath those amendments. Now, I understand that there's a huge conversation around privilege and power, but one of the reasons why a lot of us don't feel as powerful as we actually are is because we don't know what we can and cannot do. A lot of people tell me, I didn't know that I could have a gun in my car. I didn't know that I could conceal carry. I didn't know that I was allowed to even own a gun because they're left in these communities where nobody is reaching out to them. There is no aggressive push. Like for us, it's the West End, right? The West End is a very large, predominantly black area, low income housing, and there's no push that way because there's no big money that way. They got money, right? They got money, but there's no big money there. So big businesses don't really advocate for them and don't push into that area to teach them. And so I'm going that way, and because once you know your rights, once you know your power and your privilege, then you can exercise it. And I tell people, it's one thing to have rights. It's a completely thing altogether to exercise those rights. Like you have the Fifth Amendment right not to self-incriminate. But if you don't exercise it properly, you can find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Now, Aaron, you mentioned earlier when we were talking about black people and guns, black people have like this kind of relationship with guns. Do you feel like it is geographical? Like, for instance, Northerners versus Southerners? Like, I'm from the South, so I grew up with guns. Like, I was telling Patrice the first time I ever broke my arm was my daddy teaching me how to shoot a shotgun. And, just growing up, I felt like I was Charlie's Angel. So I had my hip extended out a little bit more and it wasn't cocked in my shoulder properly. So the kickback almost took my arm off.
You can teach him not to do that, right? You can teach him not to do that.
Yeah, that's not, you don't want to do that.
Oh, definitely. But just even with that, it didn't stop him from, even when my arm got better, from teaching me the proper way. And, we were just raised around guns. They went hunting. So guns were a normal part of my upbringing versus, I don't know. Do you think it's like a geographical location thing?
Yeah, so it's a yes and there's a no. In down south, the idea around guns is a lot more liberal. There's a lot more use of guns for hunting, things like that. And then up north, and we're talking about like the general population, black and white. And so if there's more people doing it, then of course the percentage of African Americans doing it is going to be higher. But down south, you also have a lot of Southern Baptists, and you have a lot of religious upbringing. And you also have a lot of stigma around law enforcement and how they're going to perceive you with a firearm. So you have a lot of parents discouraging their children from training with firearms. You have more families who aren't hunters. You have more families who aren't sportsmen with firearms. So you have more families that are telling their kids, don't touch guns, don't be around guns. Like me, I wasn't even allowed to have a water pistol. The first time I touched a gun was in the military. So that's one of the things that we're seeing here is that a lot of people, on the first time they hear about a gun is gun violence. Right. And the first time they actually see a real gun is probably somebody who shouldn't have one. So they're never introducing. One of the big things that I'm trying to create in the city is what I call recreational gun culture, because that's what's practiced on the east side of our city is recreational gun culture, where it's Tuesday. I have nothing better to do. I'm gonna go shoot my guns.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
why not?
Right.
Why not?
Right. Like shooting is the way I understand it. I always think about it like this: it's sportsmanship. Shooting is also it's sportsmanship. That's gamesmen, right? So you have those people who purchase for the sport of shooting. But then you also have people who, and this is where folks, I know I myself, I go, okay, how do I learn the difference between automatic weapons and seeing those on the street and understanding those on the street, and then also gamesmen and sports shooters. Like I've been around people who've had elephant guns, deer, guns for shooting deer, or even like quail, small game. And when you see this, like you were saying, it helps them grow up. It helps people who go with this grow up in that culture and not be afraid of it. But then I also know people, familiar people, who buy guns on the streets and don't realize they have the wrong clip in the gun. And it's like, this is how this is going to backfire on you and be a problem.
And that's exactly correct. If you grow up and the only time you see a firearm is the representation is false representation, right? Someone who is illegally handling or possessing a firearm is not a good role model for you to grow up seeing, right? Because then they're hiding it, they're running from the police. You should be able to mount a gun on your wall if you're doing it correctly. I conceal carry every single day. So it should be to the point where you see it as your shield. You see it as a way of life, because whether we like it or not, guns are not going away. I don't care how much people want to, they always talk about, guns, they taking the gun. Nobody's taking guns. Okay. So they're not going anywhere. And so as I was talking to the college students earlier today, and what I told them is, just as you learned how to drive a car, cook food, pay your rent, you need to learn how to use a gun. Whether you want a gun or you don't, whether you possess a gun or you don't, you need to learn professionally how to use a gun. That way, if it comes down to it, at least you have that option. Me, I'm not going to ride a motorcycle. This is just a small confession. This is exclusive to y'all, okay? I'm not going to ride. I've seen too many military policemen. I've seen too many bad things happen on motorcycles, but I do have a motorcycle's license, because if it all comes down to it and there's a motorcycle sitting right there, I'm gone.
That was the argument I had to have with my mom in order to be able to justify getting a motorcycle's license, because she was totally against it. But it's better to know how and not ever have to do it than to have to do it and not know how. That's right. Aaron, do you have any suggestions? What would you say would be a great age to start educating on gun safety and guns? Because I noticed that in communities that don't necessarily look like ours, their kids are shooting at 7, 8 years. They're learning how to use weapons very early.
And I actually get this question a lot, because I mainly focus on teaching people who are new to firearms and maybe who have never, even used a firearm before or don't own one. But I tell them just like this: the moment you can tell your child to do something and they go do it, and then they come back and tell you it's done, they're ready to start training with guns, because they have autonomy, right? And they have responsibility, and they have what we call good agency. Because if you tell your child to do something and you got to go check on them 14 times, they're not responsible yet. They're not. I'm sorry, your child's not responsible. Maybe spend some more time with your kid, but they're not ready.
Right.
Because let me tell you.
And it's also important because, and it gets deeper. I always go deeper. So my education is in criminal justice, philosophy, sociology, and interpersonal communication. So I'm always prepared to go deeper. The reason why it's important to train your children is because if someone kicks in your back door, it might be your child that saves your life.
Right.
And if you're keeping them ignorant, you're not helping yourself, especially when it comes to men and women. Sometimes the men will get trained, but they won't let the women get trained. But it's like, okay, that's the only way to take, like, I trained my girlfriend. I got her a concealed carry license, and then I went and bought her a gun, right? She's ready to go because I took her from being my partner to being my backup.
Okay.
Listen, Aaron,
Wait,
okay.
you ain't gotta watch your behavior now, Aaron. That you did already gave her the listen. You gave her the guns and the bullets for show her. That means you need to be on your best behavior.
Aaron, since you're talking about you got that for your girlfriend, there was a question. What's a good beginner gun for women if they need a gun for the purse?
Yes. So I will start by saying don't ever put your gun in a bag. I tell all my students that. Don't ever put your gun in a bag. The reason why you can have your gun taken from you by a low-level thief. They're tech savvy now. They keep seatbelt cutters with them. They grab your bag, they'll cut your strap, and then they off to the races with everything you own. And then once they figure out that they got your gun, they come back and take everything else. All right, so don't get you a holster. Figure it out, right? But keep your gun on your body at all times. But a good beginner gun, to answer your question, is I'm recommending the Smith & Wesson Shield. Easy. So they have a Smith & Wesson Shield 9mm, but then they have an easy version. And the reason I recommend that, not saying that women are not as strong or can't be as strong. I know a lot of strong women, but it is a very good beginner gun because it has a lighter recoil spring, making it easier for you to rack the slide. I had a lot of people come into my academy and they struggle with racking the slide. If you cannot rack the slide, you can't do just about everything you need to do to stay in that fight. It's one thing to get into a fight, but the tactics and the techniques and the training and the gun that's appropriate for you is what's going to keep you in that fight so that you can tell the police what happened.
Right. So now Rhinox specializes in self-defense training, special defense training, educational research, and legal protection. Now, when I looked at the site, I also noticed that folks that come from out of your area, which you are in Kentucky, right? Folks have came from out of Kentucky area to your group to actually learn. So how far out? How far does your legal protection go? Like, could I come from DC to Louisville to learn, and then would the legal protection apply here to me in DC? Like, would you be able to help me understand the DC gun laws and stuff like that?
Rhinox, fantastic question. Rhinox Research Group is an official partner with the United States Concealed Carry Association. That was one of the things I was very aggressive about in the very beginning. And as you know, right now, the USCCA is the only, well, I won't say only, but they are the largest gun advocacy organization that provides concealed carry, or what we call self-defense insurance. That self-defense insurance covers all 50 states, 365 days, 24/7. They have a critical response line. Once you become a member, you get a card. On the back of that card, they have all the instructions you need, and you can follow it step by step to get the help you need. They provide you well over $2 million for civil and criminal defense. They will bail you out of jail. So a lot of things happen when you pull a trigger. And I'll just say this, and then we can move forward. But there are 4 areas of self-defense, and most people only think about one. I'll let you figure out what that is when I'm done telling you about them. But there is physical defense, there's legal defense, there's financial defense, and then there's moral defense. So which one do you think people spend most of their time and energy in?
Realities.
Physical. Everybody focuses on physical defense. I'm gonna go get me a gun, and maybe I'm gonna go get me some training, so that if somebody tries to hurt me, I'm gonna hurt them first.
Right.
That's what they focus on. But they don't think about what happens after you pull the trigger.
That's
Immediately after you pull that trigger, you're immediately going to be thrown into the other 3 areas of self-defense. You're going to be thrown into legal defense. Do you have an attorney? Financial defense. Can you pay to get bailed out of jail? Can you pay for court costs?
Right.
And then moral defense. That's one nobody thinks about. That's your spiritual faith walk. That's your friends. That's your families. Because when the due process is placed on you in the court of law, all that pressure is going to point to you being a bad person doing the wrong thing. And you need people around you that's going to convince you that you're a good person and you made the right call. Because the moment you crack under due process, the prosecutor's going to slide that dirty little piece of paper in front of you and be like, just sign this right here and we can make it all go away. And you're going to be like, that says 5 years. And you're like, they're trying to give you 20.
Right.
Please.
Right.
Well,
I still gotta-
talking about doing time and stuff like that. Do you work with people who are trying to get their gun rights restored?
Oh yeah, I do. So there's been a lot of people who've come to me who want training, and I have to tell them I cannot help you. You know, it's just it is what it is. I'm a Dudley Do-Right. I'm a square. I've always been a square. You know, I grew up where I grew up, and I was called, you know, the white babe, whatever. That's who I am. You know, so I do everything the right way. You know,
A
I do
man of
everything the
high
right
moral
way.
character.
Listen, I love somebody. I love it when they buy the book. Somebody.
Man of high moral character. You probably never late for a meeting either, right?
I'm a square, man. I am, and I accept it.
Nothing
Yeah,
wrong with it.
I'm very left brain. I'm very logical analytical. I'm also a Virgo, so you can just throw all that in there. The guys in my unit call me Optimus Prime, so it is what it is.
So, but their rights are able to be restored, right? Gun rights are able to be restored.
They are. It depends on what the crime is. So some crimes, based on your state's laws, some crimes they have what's called automatic renewal, and you need to figure out based on what you were charged with, do you qualify for automatic renewal? And what that means is you don't have to fill out no paperwork. The only thing that needs to happen is a certain amount of time needs to elapse, and then you get all your rights back. Some crimes, especially violent crimes, you have to get.
I was about to say domestic violence.
Yes, domestic violence, you can kiss it goodbye. But a lot of that violent crime, you have to actually get a pardon from your governor before you can get your rights back.
Okay. And one more time, could you repeat those 4 defenses? It was physical, legal, moral, and financial.
Yes. Those are the 4 areas of self-defense. Yes. And if you are not shored up all 4, it can take one of them that you're not squared away on, and that will be enough to crush you. Because a lot of people, they survive the fight, right? But then they're hit with legalities, and maybe they don't have powerful representation, so then they get crushed by the courts. But even people who survive the courts, they might face what's called financial ruin because they just all money defending themselves. And then there's moral, right? You know, a lot of people think if I shoot somebody, everybody's gonna call me a hero, and they're gonna be like, "You did a great job." That's not what's gonna happen. People gonna call you the devil, and God helps you with the media to hold of your case, right? Because then you're gonna be tried by the public, and that's neither fair or impartial.
Right.
And you know, if they live, they're gonna sue you.
People realize how tough it is to take a life. You know what I'm saying? It's not a video game. It's not, you know, it's not a movie, dog. Like
that's why the bulk of what I teach is conflict avoidance and situational awareness. Because if you can avoid conflict, that's the best way to win conflict. But even if you get into it, I do also talk about, like, I'm not a pacifist, right? Like, I talk a lot about conflict avoidance, but that's only to avoid the serious consequences, because you're essentially trading your life for that other person's life. But, you know, we do need good people with guns out here in the world. We need what's called moral violence, right? Because there's immoral violence. The only thing that can balance out immoral violence is moral violence, and moral violence is usually selfless violence in defense of innocence.
Yeah. People talk about the civil rights movement, they talk about the nonviolent aspect, but people don't often talk about the deacons of defense who actually would stand around those people protesting and exercising their civil rights, who were ensuring that the Klan could not do what they wanted to do. Which leads me to this question that I have. You said you cover all 50 states. Do you cover U.S. territories also, like Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, and D.C.? Because D.C. is not a state.
Right. And so if U.S. territories is something that I will definitely have to give you that information. But as far as it goes, all 50 states are covered for the legal protection, yes.
Last question from me.
Hold on, Haywood. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you know, we are at a point where we want to bring in our 3 Black minutes, because this is a lot to unpack, and I don't even know if we're gonna have to do a part 2 for Black Power.
I mean, it's so much good information.
I know. So we're just gonna put a pin in your question for Aaron and Anthony.
Well, actually, I'm looking backstage, so Haywood might have time to go ahead and ask his question.
Okay.
Well, knowing who's coming up for 3 Black minutes, the question is, for people who in the states where marijuana has been made legal, the rumor is that people who have gotten their marijuana card, cannot get gun ownership. So there's the question there: can people who have their medical marijuana card actually apply for a gun license or be gun owners?
So now you're on the leading edge of the fight for the Second Amendment, because marijuana is a new wave, and it's going to be a huge boom, not only economically but socially. It's going to do a lot for our country. Our country is going to transform pretty much within the next 5 years once that is made recreational. And a lot of questions are being asked. Should you be able to smoke weed and own a gun? But I will say this, and I'll keep saying it, and I'll say it till the day I die. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed upon.
Hello, somebody.
Come on.
Not be
If you can
infringed
have
upon.
alcohol, if you can drink alcohol, I would rather you smoke weed and have a gun than have alcohol and have a gun.
That's where our vigilance has to come into play when it comes to protecting the Second Amendment. A lot of people think that the amendments to the U.S. Constitution are infallible and permanent. They are not. They are amendments, right? That means at one point they didn't even exist.
Right.
And then a bunch of people got together and fought to make them a reality. So we have to understand that we have to play a part. We have to be a voice in keeping our guns. It's not going to happen by magic.
Yes, Mugo, we are 2A strong.
Hey, man.
Good deal. So you guys know what time it is. It's time for our 3 Black Minutes comedian. You all know and love this amazing person. Pure hilarity. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for Alex Starr. Oh, wait a minute. I have to play the video first.
Welcome to 3 Black Minutes, where comedians from all over have 3 Black Minutes to talk about tonight's topics. Comedians have 3 Black Minutes to be funny, or we have 3 Black Minutes to roast them. Tonight's comedian is Alex Starr. 3 Black Minutes. Black Time Matters.
Hello?
Alex!
What's up? Everybody good? We're good? Can you hear me? Everybody good? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't know I was going to come in that quick and shit. I thought it was just like, when that nigga ended, I was just like, all right, yeah, I got some time. I just went over here. God damn, nigga, my curtain's moving. I like this shit. No, real quick. No, real quick. This shit is fly though, because like I be doing Zoom shows and my Zoom show should be ghetto as shit. Y'all shit had me feeling like I swear to God, I felt like I was on Maury, nigga. Like the whole time I was backstage. I was waiting for somebody to say something like, yo, man, nigga, I fuck you up. Like that had me bounce. I was like, nigga, I feel like I'm on Maury a little bit. Like, yo, what's up? Like, nigga, I'm good, bro. I was waiting for somebody to be like, and then he don't take care of his kids and shit. I'm gonna go straight into Kevin Hart, like. Oh my God, no. She said he don't take care of his kids. Oh my God, no. Are you not tired of that shit? Like, come on, like, are you not tired of that shit yet? Like, God damn, Kevin. Can you do one more of the same nigga in a movie? Oh my God, no. Like, I be looking at Kevin Hart like, oh my God, when I watch this movie, oh my God, no. This shit is crazy, man. I've been having a good time, nigga. Man, I'm telling you, dude, like, nigga, I got so much shit in this month. Like, I do a lot to set this whole little office shit, like this shit can't fly. Like, I got so many lights this motherfucker. I just be like, hey, Amazon, just give me cancer. Like, nigga, everything. There's so many lights in this shit to do this, nigga. Like, you really want to get that attention right now? So just like, I'll do anything to do it. So you like rocking, you doing your shit. Like, nigga, they have made niggas resort to fucking doing shit like this, nigga. Oh my God. This shit fucked up. Yo, like you're in the room recording. You're like, man, it's hot shit in here. And then you can't really control when you be doing videos. So if you got roommates, and you be in the middle of the video, nigga be like, hey man, where the soap at? Where the soap at? But the topic was about
that was 3 minutes ago.
Because that's hard. That's how a motherfucker tell you, like, hey man, you want to be on the show? You get all excited, like, nigga, we in the pandemic. Somebody offered me a show. I don't give a fuck about getting paid. This is like we offered me the show. He's like, hey man, you want to be on Black Think Tank? I'll be watching y'all a little bit. I'll be like, I ain't on there, so I ain't really fucking with it. Like I do be seeing y'all. And I be like, hey man, they ain't hit me up though. So I just watch y'all shit. Like I pull it up and just like cut on a whole video, which means I got click on it. So you say, Alex, stop watching. And so I just scroll up because I ain't on there. So I look, I be like, all right, but they be like, but they ain't okay, they ain't call me and shit, they ain't fucking with me. I ain't really, I like Anthony shit, but I ain't fucking with Patrice and Haywood. I just talked to Haywood. This nigga offered me no spot. Scroll up, and then hold on, the fucked up thing is y'all put the picture up. And y'all look all good in the picture, like niggas. Y'all look like SVU, like it was like. And that's my favorite show. SVU is my favorite show. So every time y'all picture scrolled up, they be like the dome. I was like, look. Haywood didn't even call me though. Haywood didn't even call me. He knew I got all black. He know I got all black though. He know I got all black. He know I would have been great in this picture. Like I could be drunk. Nigga eyes might be crossed. But the dome. Nigga didn't give me the dome.
Yo,
I would have did like this. Haywood, I would have did like this.
I just talked to you.
Alex.
He didn't even give me the dome. Y'all look like SVU. I was like, that's my favorite shit. Like, and then I was mad at you, Anthony. It's like, and then nigga know SVU is my favorite shit.
Yo. Y'all give it up for Alex. Alex,
hold on, real quick, guys. Hold on, Anthony. Let me do this for you. So the topic is about guns, but if we talk to some of the celebrities, if we talk to some of the celebrities about guns, like say we talk to like Donald Trump about guns, like Donald Trump just popped up. Believe me, we're gonna talk about guns. We're gonna talk about something amazing. But we're gonna talk about guns, and the guns are for what? The people. Believe me, the guns are for. Believe me, the guns are for the people. The people. Believe me. And what did Obama say about guns? Well, believe me, with my thought about guns, I don't believe everyone should have a gun. But as a black person, nigga, I'd rather be caught with it than without it. So if a nigga walk up to me and he'd be like, yeah, I'm a nigga, what's good? So thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Patrice. Thank you, Haywood. You guys have been amazing. I just want to rock out and do what I'm doing. And you guys have always been amazing people to me. Thank you very much. Good times, homie. I appreciate it. Thank
Alex,
you.
we gotta know. Yo, that was hilarious. But we gotta know what is going on behind that curtain. What is back there?
I got the fan on. I get hot, so I always keep the fan on, man.
You in New York City and it's 48 degrees outside. You ain't got no gun.
Nigga, the fan is on. I got the fan on right here.
Y'all give it up for Alex Starr one more time.
The fan on.
You can follow Alex Starr on all social media platforms and Starstruck Comedy. Thank you so much, Alex. We appreciate you.
Yes, you can digitally. You can also, if you want to do any additional donations, you can digitally tip Alex Starr at #StarKid StarRRKID if you feel so moved. I think I might have a couple extra shillings for him. That shit was funny. The fact that he ain't give a damn about our topic until the last 5 minutes of his 3-minute set.
Alex done did a whole 10 minutes of Black Think Tank.
What's hilarious to me is Aaron is sitting there like, what just happened?
Somebody said that. Somebody was like, Aaron don't know what.
Because everything, I love the shit. I love when shit go off the rails. I really
Man,
do.
this is great. And Alex did perfect. He came in with the pow, with the firepower,
But look, Aaron, a lot of people are asking for your information on how to get in contact with your company. Like, how do we find you, like, on all platforms?
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
yeah.
Oh, I got it.
I was waiting for the mute to go away.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
I was being patient. But yes, you can find me on Instagram at Rhinox Research Group. You can find me on Facebook at Rhinox Research Group. I'm really easy to find, and we're working on our website right now. We're upgrading some stuff, but once that's back up and running, you can also find us at rhinoxresearch.com. But like I said, you can look for me, Aaron McGahee. I'm very easy to find. I'm a bit of a public figure just because I'm a huge extrovert. So if you have questions and you need answers, let me know.
Haywood, before we went to 3 Black Minutes, didn't you have another question, Haywood, before we went to 3 Black Minutes?
He asked the question about the marijuana, but then I want to talk because he is somewhat of a hero in our group. Because I'm gonna be honest, when we started looking for people to talk about Black folks and gun ownership, I found walls everywhere. We found walls. And then I found this picture of Aaron in a group that I'm in on Facebook. You know, it's a blurred group. It's Black nerds, you know. So I say that to say, what's gonna this brother standing there in full garb, and he's like, no, this is not this is not pretend, this is what I do. Mm-hmm. So I do want to thank you for coming on and sharing this. But then at the same time, I do want to ask you, are you watching WandaVision?
Yes, I am. I love it. That last episode threw me for a trip. Yeah.
Yo, it's so good.
All I'm saying at the beginning, but now everybody's like, what's going on this week?
Well, and that's what Marvel's good at, and that's why Marvel is absolutely destroying DC when it comes to not only the cinematic universe, but everybody used to be like, well, DC has great shows. It was like, okay, but now Marvel has great shows. So what's your fallback? The Snyder's Cut? The movie we should have got? The movie everybody wanted? Like, I'm sitting there watching the previews for the Snyder Cut, and I'm wondering, how did this get snubbed?
Right.
And how did they go from what we're seeing now to what we got? Because now it makes sense why it's a post-apocalyptic world.
Right.
Like, I had no idea why everything was destroyed, but now we see Darkseid, and I'm like, okay, now it makes sense why everything's rubble.
Exactly. I
Yeah,
don't know
this is definitely a blurred conversation. Like,
final question, especially now that we're talking, we're getting ready to close up. But this is my final question. I don't know if the group has any more. But as what branch of service was you in? Was it the Army or Air Force?
Air Force. I'm Air Force.
That's what I thought.
You know he was in the Air Force. Can you listen to him? I was in the Air Force too. Listen, he know where he got on the ass path.
You're the smartest people in the room. We're always the smartest people in the room. This is why we got with the Rhinox Group.
Listen, I'm ignorant, but I got
As a former member of the United States military, and as someone who is advocate for Second Amendment rights, what were your thoughts when you saw the insurrection at the Capitol? Right now, we had the impeachment just a few weeks ago. We're speaking about it again. And today we actually got to see what the Sergeant at Arms said and saw, and Capitol Police said and saw today on C-SPAN within those halls. So what were your thoughts when you saw that happening in this country?
One, they're a bunch of traitors.
Mm-hmm.
Two, that right there is exactly why we need to understand how fragile our republic is, how fragile our state and our way of life is. We cannot play around with this, and we cannot allow other people to play around with it. Just as it goes with our rights, people got to realize, and I'm going to go deep because you brought me on the show. That's what y'all get.
Come on, Aaron.
Hey.
Y'all starting to rub off on me. But no, it's one of those things where you got to understand, no republic has lasted throughout history as long as America has been around. Rome, Greece, they were republics. They shifted power from the government to the people. And what's happening is they're trying to reverse that and shift the power back to the government. We have to be organized, and we have to be agreeant to each other, right? We can't stab each other in the back. We can't turn on each other, and we can't try to make sure success only happens if our name is on the list. Your name might be mentioned, but you might be able to jump in somewhere and just help. But if everyone's just trying to be the top person, nothing will get done. And the reason I say that is because our way of life is so fragile, and we can easily go back to some weird stuff. We've just saw some weird stuff. That was weird.
Right.
We saw people who support Blue Lives Matter drag them down the steps and beat them with the American flag.
Speak on it.
What?
Yes,
So, like I said, it can easily. That's why you don't want to give too much allegiance to one faction. You don't need to blindly follow anybody. Right?
Hello.
Don't even
Hello.
blindly follow people led by groups that look like us. Ask questions, be critical of them. And if they're doing good work, don't just cancel them because they did one thing you don't agree with. If they're still doing good work, let them do the good work. Because as we start to shift forward, as we start to move forward as a country, we're finding, like I told the college students, the doors are being blown wide open by some of our vanguard. Some of the people who have taken the hits, right? Some of the people who got blackballed, some of the people who got, absolutely their whole lives destroyed. Some people who lost their lives. They have blown the doors wide open for us to do what we want to do. But we have to be proactive, and we have to be aggressive about getting in the spaces that, it's just like football. If a hole has been made open, somebody needs to go through it.
Hey!
So be proactive and find where you fit in. If you bake goods, then just start baking. Right? If you teach people, teach bigger groups, teach more often. If you're a speaker, speak to everybody, because now people are looking for African Americans with skills and who are likable. And if you have skills and you're likable, then there's nothing stopping you right now. There's absolutely nothing stopping you. I turned on my video game, and this is going to sound weird, but it's true. I turned on Call of Duty, and it said Black Lives Matter.
Wow.
Shut up.
I turned on Call of Duty. I turned that game off. I turned on Destiny 2. It said Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Okay. So you cannot tell me that we aren't pushing forward. We can't sit there. One of the things that happens with caged animals is if they're caged for long, even if you open the door, they won't leave.
Right.
We have to run.
Hey.
We have to run.
Right.
And we have to run some more and take advantage of the opportunities that are now available.
Right.
Yeah, especially I think if you've had a bad experience with a gun, I think it behooves you to go out and make sure that you get trained. Like I had my first experience with a gun. We went to a gun range. The guy gave us a gun, and I was like, well, I don't think this one works that well. He's like, here are your instructions. He told us real quick how to use the gun, where the safety was, and he said, just point it down, just point it down towards the target. Don't point anywhere else. And then they're like, well, and if he didn't tell us this. The guy who was standing next to me told me this. He's like, and don't put your finger on the trigger unless you want to shoot. But like that was the end of it. So I went to use the gun, and I was using it fine, and then it blocked itself twice. So I took back out to the guy up front. Well, actually, first I said, hey, do you guys know what's wrong? And they're like, no, we don't know what's wrong. Point it
Right,
out.
just turn around like, what's wrong with this?
Everybody
Girl.
Gun to him to see if maybe I need to get it switched out, if there was something wrong with it. This guy does a few things with it. There's obviously a bullet stuck in the chamber, and I think he's trying to, wherever it's stuck, he tries to get it out, doesn't get it out, puts it at the ground, pulls the trigger, and boom, gun goes off. And I'm like, we're probably going to go now because I can't in this place anymore.
Well, and that's absolutely
that I could have killed somebody. If not so much, I didn't know how to use the gun, and that was the extent to their training. Like Montgomery County, totally different. You got to sit in 12 classes. You have to research. You have to pass tests. But in PG County, where the majority of Black people live, you just walk up in there. You can buy a gun, leave with it the same day, not know how to use it or anything. And I think it is important to go out, even if you, like you said, don't want to actually have one in your home. You should know how to use it.
Well, and that's exactly why I created the academy because you know I'm a military weapons instructor. I've been a military weapons instructor for 12 years, right? So I teach our troops how to use their guns. I run the gun ranges. I'm combat arms. Patrice, if you're familiar with combat arms, that's what I do. So I stay in the armory and I fix all our broken guns. So one of the things, reason why I was like, I got the Air Force Achievement Medal and I was named, you know, the top weapons instructor because I was really good with
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We're not just gonna gloss past that.
Yeah. Well, I got a lot of awards for what I do, you know, and it's because I pay attention to detail. But back to your story, Tracy, is that classroom time is so important, right? You have to sit down and talk with people. And one of the things that I'm finding out, the reason why a lot of the Black community, besides all my action in the community and helping folks, but a lot of the Black community is coming to me because they feel more comfortable learning with me because we do a lot more than gun training in the classroom. I'm learning about the last time people were sexually assaulted. I'm learning about the last time people were robbed at gunpoint. You have to open up to be a student. You know, to be a student, to learn anything, you can't be guarded, or else you won't receive the information. So, and, you know, spending that time in the classroom, getting to know each other, and getting to know where your weak points are, so that I can start to build you up, right? But what happened in your situation is 100% avoidable. And the bad thing about that is when you have those bad experiences, that's another 6 months to a year before you touch a gun.
Again.
Yeah.
I don't think I've touched one since, in fact.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as we started
that was
researching,
like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That was 10 years ago.
And as we started researching for the show, it just became back again like, what do I know? What doesn't she know? And then now how do we help one another? Because it's like, let's grow. And then we found Rhinox Research Group. So it looks like we'll have to be taking a trip to Louisville.
So Aaron, with your hands-on training, do you do tactical? Because that's one thing I tell people a lot of times is that you can go to the gun range and it's easy to hit a target that's not moving. Do you do tactical, like in the okay?
So, so you say that's easy, but I will tell you, a lot of people, that is a terrible process, right? It's a lot of growing pains. A lot of people come in there and realize they can't shoot 5 feet. You know?
You gotta start somewhere. I don't think about it like that. I guess because
to answer your question, yes, I do unarmed self-defense training as well. Obviously, because of COVID restrictions, I haven't been doing it, but I do. It's based in Wing Chun. Wing Chun does a great job of misdirecting. Also, it does a great job of joint manipulation. So that and it works great for women because you don't want to go muscle versus muscle if you don't have the muscle. Right. But everyone has the same joints. Right? You can't train your joints.
Yeah.
you can't strengthen your joints. So if you can leverage things, if you can leverage things properly, no matter what size you are, you can break joints and you can dominate the fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you do competition training?
No, I do not do competition training. But one of the things I just launched a Rhinox Research Group's alumni club. The reason why I was able to launch that, I wasn't going to do that until our second year. But we only been in business for 8 months and we've already trained over 200 people. So I was able to launch our club early. And now we have, I launched it 2 days ago. We have 8 people, paid members to our exclusive alumni club. And so what we will do in that alumni club is we do range assessments, we do marksmanship, self-defense assessments, live fire, and then we do training, and then we do defense education, and then we're going to have a annual competition / celebration and award ceremony. So throughout the year, I'm going to be training them to get better and better and better at these skills, and then we're going to put them on display and have folks compete against each other. And then we'll have an award ceremony where, if you're the top shot, you'll get a trophy for that. You get a medal for that. And you get bragging rights.
Well, we might have to stand the turnip seeds for the competition.
Point on that. What's the price point?
And that'll be another historic thing because there is no gun competition here that's ran by African Americans. So it will be another historic thing for me to put on.
I would love for Black Think Tank to cover that.
Where's that horn? Historic. I love it. Where's the horn, Anthony?
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. That's on another page.
I think we have to take a field trip. They're saying the Black Think Tank needs to take a field.
Sounds like we coming to Kentucky.
It's all late.
we coming to Kentucky. That's all. We coming to Kentucky. This is the field show where we can actually put this part 2. We can do. Would you be open to a part 2 where we put some of this in action where we can show some of the training?
Yeah. Come on. Right. I got a spot for each and every one of them.
That would be amazing.
Before we get out of here, did you have any final thoughts for our viewers? Did you have anything that you wanted to plug?
Yeah,
that you haven't already?
Right. So Rhinox Research Group has made a lot of waves where I am in Louisville, Kentucky, but the things that I'm doing here needs to spread. I was featured on the front page of our biggest print newspaper, the Courier Journal, for my actions in the Black community, breaking the stigma and pushing that advocacy for the Second Amendment in the Black community. But it needs to happen everywhere. So if you have a local gun group, join it. If you have someone who's trying to do what I'm doing where you're at, support them. Find a way to get involved because, like I said before, it's one thing to have rights. It's another thing to exercise your rights. Everyone needs to start exercising their rights. Everyone needs to start getting educated on their rights so they can protect themselves effectively. Not only that, I was able to be a part of a fantastic ownership group, and we made history again as the only ownership group, African-American majority, pro football team to get a 3-year contract to the Yum Center, the KFC Yum Center. So if you're in the traveling mood and you like high-intensity arena football, please come down to Louisville, Kentucky, and join us for a game. See you at kickoff.
Hey! He sound like Mark Cuban on that one. See you at kickoff.
I love it.
That's awesome, man. That is really awesome. Thank you for being open to talking to us and talking to our group. Like I said, we don't like to speak into a vacuum. We really want our listeners and our viewers to have an honest, open, as best an honest, open discussion as possible. So I know I've had a good time, and I appreciate you here. Really, thank you for your time, and then Anthony will take us home.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Oh, most certainly. I was trying to find. Let's see. Shout out to Trenton Hayes. He has, and if you're in the South Carolina area and you're not able to travel, he has an instructional company as well. And there's also an LGBT gun group here in the DMV. And I'll put that on the Black Think Tank page because I can't remember where I put the flyer. But just in case, there's a LGBT gun group here in the DMV, and I like to show them some love, so I will put that up on the main page. Again, Aaron, thank you so much for coming on the show. We have to do this again. There was so much information that I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like we have more questions. There's just not enough time. Before we leave, turnip seeds, what you got?
So main thing, hey, was talking. What do we have coming up? Make sure you come out Sunday, February 28th. Arlington Cinema. Was it Arlington Cinema Draft House? Arlington Cinema Draft House Theater to see the Black Think Tank comedy show. Closing out the month of Black History Month, February 28th. It'll be myself, Anthony Patrice, Violet Gray, and Al Giz Diamond. We're gonna have a real good funny time, and of course, Tracy might even do 3 Black minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
I want to see Tracy do 3 minutes. Listen, I can take off for 3 minutes easily. I don't have
I'm
no
here
doubt
for
about
it.
that.
These tickets still available. We need y'all to buy these tickets. Buy these tickets. Buy these tickets. Buy these tickets.
Yes, matter of fact, let me go ahead and throw up that ticket link.
I got
Yeah,
it.
hey yo, Kevin just sold 8 tickets.
Woo!
So we gotta get on the ball, yo.
Wait, is my commercial premiering tonight, or you still never put it together?
Let me think.
You
Do I have?
Clearly, you didn't. If you got
No, wait a minute.
happen.
Give me 1 second. Is it here? Yeah, I got it. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Okay. I almost got it. I'm working fast, y'all. I almost got it, but it is almost here. Okay. And it's almost ready. I do have, now you can intro it because I do have this right here before the video plays, and you can just tell the folks a little bit about this right here.
Yes, the Black Think Tank with Anthony Oaks and Patrice takes the Wild Wild West, kicking it off Thursday, March the 11th. We're going to be in Las Vegas, Sin City. I'm coming back. I miss y'all so much. One time for the West Side, we got Benny Pitts. Alex Scott is headlining one night. Tammy T. Who knows who else may fall through. But you definitely want to grab your tickets for that. It's all VIP seating, because that's the only way to do it in Sin City, as far as I'm concerned. If it's not VIP, it's not me.
Well, let's see if we can play. Let's see if it does it. Let's see. Okay, so this is the one with no music. Okay. I will sing the Wild Wild West. Doom, the Wild Wild West. Doom, the Wild Wild West. Doom, the Wild Wild West. We got Penny and Tony. And we got Tammy T. Love. Wild Wild West with Patrice the Vault. Oh, okay, yeah.
Wild Wild West.
But thanks to you. So you can grab your tickets for those. They're at Eventbrite. And that link is in my bio. I want to say it's also in Anthony Oaks' bio. And then this Thursday, it's ATL Ho. We take it over. We're going to be at Hookah and Hollering Comedy Show Thursday, February 25th. That's hosted by the hilarious and beautiful Kelly Kells. And then we're moving about doing some other things in the city as we celebrate Anthony Oaks being inducted into the Ballroom Hall of Fame where he belongs. Past that, listen, we outside. No, go ahead.
Hey, tomorrow, we can't go any further. Tomorrow, we're going to be on Holly Logan's show promoting our show on Sunday. So make sure you please make sure you go check out this show, y'all. Holly is so funny. She is so crazy. And we're gonna be on her show tomorrow. I think it's at 8 p.m. So I'll definitely post the link for that. Shout out to Holly and shout out to Algiers. We were on her show this morning.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. And Algiers has so much energy, child.
At 10 o'clock in the damn morning.
Okay, I was like,
that's
but we definitely got to plug the show. Y'all, please go buy tickets for the show on Sunday. It's gonna be bananas. And I know that we normally don't. We said that we're gonna redo the video for the promotion, but we haven't. But we can't go another show without these people. Like, so I know it's crazy, but guess what?
old one.
As always, the Black Think Tank with Anthony and Patrice would like to thank our sponsors, MJ_Herbal_Infusions. Want to get high? Eat this. And the Flunky Concierge Service, always available when you have more tasks than time. If you would like your event or business featured on the Black Think Tank with Anthony and Patrice, email us at blackthinktank.a.p@gmail.com.
I got called out. I got called out for my underscores today, y'all, in my Instagram name.
I just want to go on record and say I did my part. I redid the sponsor. That was not supposed to be played. We said we was leaving that in 2020, but we'll talk about it off air because I feel some type of way.
That's true. We love y'all so much. So many people watching right up until the last hour. Thank you so much. Thank you, Aaron. We appreciate you. You had so many nuggets. And I think the women are also swooning over you. So his girlfriend got a gun.
I don't know her, but he said his woman got a pistol. He gave his woman a pistol, and she his backup. She gonna shoot you.
Hey, stop making it. Stop. I'm really just kidding. If you're watching Aaron's girlfriend, I love you, girl.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much for watching the Black.
Keep it in a purse.
And we're out.
Create a space where we could, discuss